Prior to the war, Walter Pincus wrote that the President was provided some information from the CIA. Let me read it here. On August 13th, 2003, the CIA completed a classified 6-page intelligence analysis that described the worst scenarios that could arise after a U.S.-led removal of Saddam Hussein: anarchy and territorial breakup in Iraq, a surge of global terrorism, a deepening of Islamic antipathy towards the United States. According to then CIA Director George Tenet, it was relegated to the back of a thick briefing book handed out to President Bush's national security team for a meeting on September 7th, 2002 at Camp David, where the Iraq War was topic A. Do you remember that?
I don't remember specifically that book, but I'm sure it exists. But a week earlier, the 5th of August, 2002, the President and I, with Dr. Rice present, had a conversation that touched on many of the likely outcomes and the realization that it would probably tie up a significant percentage of our armed forces for a long period of time. It would cost a great deal. We were getting inside of a sectarian conflict that we would have to keep a lid on, and we would have to get Iraqis up and moving as quickly as possible in order to hand the responsibility off to them. And so I don't think any of us were unaware of the kinds of problems that we might face. I certainly was not unaware, and I was informed by my own thinking as well as CIA documentation, not just the one Mr. Pincus makes reference to, but all along the way, those who had experience in this part of the world and those that had experience in war understood that we were taking on something that was going to be a major burden to us for many years, and I think the President was well aware of that. And my judgment is that we didn't prepare ourselves well enough for the kinds of challenges that occurred in the aftermath of the fall of Baghdad.
The public posturing, however, some supporters of the war saying it would be a cakewalk. The Vice President of this program saying we'd be greeted as liberators. The public was not in any way girded with the notion that this could be tough slogging and could, in fact, result in deep sectarian violence and anarchy, as evidenced by the CIA report.
I never used terms such as cakewalk, and I never had any illusions about this being simply a stroll to Baghdad and then everything was going to be wonderful. But let's go back to around 10 April of 2003. Sadam Hussein's statue fell on the 9th, and from the 10th of April for a month or two, everybody in the United States thought this was a terrific outcome. It looked like it was going to work, just as the administration has said it was going to work. We were liberators for a moment. And then we simply did not handle the aftermath. We didn't realize we were in an insurgency when we were in an insurgency. And we watched as the ministries that we were counting on, the government ministries we were counting on to help us take over, were being burned and looted. And we didn't respond. And we didn't have enough troops on the ground. That's my judgment, not the judgment of the military commanders at the time, but it's certainly my judgment. And we didn't have enough troops on the ground because once the government fell, the whole structure of governing collapsed. Once the government in Baghdad came down, everything came down. And it was our responsibility then, under international law, as the occupying authority as well as the liberators, to be responsible for restoring order. And we didn't have enough troops there to restore that order, nor did we have the political understanding of our obligation to restore that order.